So, welcome to Silver Bow Publishing's virtual launch for Why the Trumpet is Blue by Brian Koester. We're excited to have you here to join us in celebration of this new release. My name is Megan Hakkinen. I am a two-time ultra cycling world champion, the author of two adventure memoirs, and coming to you today from the highest city in North America, Leadville, Colorado, where I'm completing a high altitude training block. Silverbow Publishing is a Canadian publishing company releasing 20 to 30 books per year by international writers in the genres of fiction, poetry, and nonfiction. Candace James is at the helm of Silverbow as general manager, and I'll invite her to share a few words about working with Brian before we begin. We'll have time for some questions and discussion near the end. Candace, I'll pass it to you for a moment.
Excellent. It's nice to be here, and it's always good to not only see Brian, but to hear Brian. I mean, he's a great poet. Actually, this will be the second book I published by Brian, and the first one, What Keeps Me Awake, kept me awake. A really good one. And when I saw this second manuscript coming in, I said, "Oh, Brian," I thought I got to read that, and immediately I could tell it's just something we had to publish. His words come alive on the page. It's like they're breathing. It's quite amazing, actually. As I read the poems, they made me even get in touch with my own self, and that's not easy to do. Brian was a gem to work with, and it's a great book, and I hope everybody enjoys his reading today, which I'm sure they will. Back to you, Megan.
Thanks so much, Candace. We're really glad that you can be here today to celebrate with us. Um, so you can order Why the Trumpet is Blue at local retail bookstores and libraries worldwide, or from the publisher through the Silver Bow website. I put some links in the chat. The ebook version is available on Amazon. Silver Bow's website and purchase links, like I said, are in the chat. So yeah, please check those out if you don't have a copy of the book already. Without further ado, I'm really excited to introduce Brian. So Brian Gerald Koester is a Pushcart Prize nominee and a Best of the Net anthology nominee. His latest poetry collection, Why the Trumpet is Blue, has just come out with Silver Bow Publishing, and that's what we're here tonight to celebrate. Koester's previous collection is titled What Keeps Me Awake, as Candace mentioned. That's also with Silver Bow. And his chapbook is titled Bossa Nova, and that's with Riverglass Books. Brian's work has appeared most recently in Louisiana Literature, Sir Vision, Versification Zine, Moonday Mag, and Triggerfish Critical Review. Koester keeps little brown ditch fish that are quite rare. He is an aficionado of single malt whiskey and a proud Cub Scout dropout. You can find him online at briangeraldkoester.com, and I'll put that link in the chat. Welcome, Brian. We're really happy to have you here tonight, and I'm just excited to hear what you have to share with us.
Thanks, Megan. It's great to be here. I didn't get to greet Ward. He's tuning in against all odds too. So great to have everybody here. I'll start reading. Rock stardom is not what it used to be. A giant flamingo stalks South Lake Union, devouring gobs of the hipster crowds. A revenant Elvis sings Heartbreak Hotel without a band. No one understands the monody, but he accompanies himself on a scuffed up 5-gallon bucket, inspiring school shootings. It's cool to say neat again, and I worked hard for years not to say it. It took another decade before I could say cool without sounding like a hypercubic doll in a bow tie. I give up. The only commitment I'm afraid of involves a padded cell. And even though I'm constitutionally prone to lay rubber on pavement, I can't get no satisfaction no matter how much I brood and smolder, as long as I'm in one piece. Was I ever in one piece? I want a Daffy Duck t-shirt that says, I demand that you shoot me now. Rock stardom is not what it used to be, but I would take it. Sestina with imaginary music. I'll tell you, none of the pieces mentioned in this poem actually exist. but they would be wonderful if they would be wonderful if they did. Um, how does the butterfly move upstream in the breeze? Why does the blue of the sky not burn the crow? You only get answers to so many questions. This is already too many. Fortunately, it's more important to ask than it is to know. My guess is the grand theory of everything will keep receding ahead of us. Everything is tigers all the way down, all smelling the breeze for prey. That's all I know and all I need to know. If only. I need to know how the serene crow soars immune to neon blue, how, fortunately, the butterfly flies wherever. A third question: can a star be dead if we still see it? Question: how can red feel different than blue when everything can burn up in either? Are we unfortunate never to feel how far stars are? The cosmic breeze has a lot of room. Bach's symphonies make me crow in ecstasy. Mozart's best sonatas, the ones for cello, when you feel them, then you know deepest elegance. And it remains to question how Ravel's Concerti Grossi take up a crowbar and open minds. They encompass everything better than Mahler. Maybe it's the cosmic breeze moving in the phrases. You can, fortunately, feel it with your eyes in Van Gogh. Fortunately, no need to blame it on the bossa nova. No, not the moon or stars above, just the cosmic breeze behind them. I need to ask another question. What puts the dignity in purple? Everything turns on these inquiries. Maybe the silent crow could shed light on some receding answer. A crow might preserve some deep, dim memory by fortune from the ancestors who had to watch everything we did of how we came to talk, but it can't know language like we do. Are crows lucky? I question our wisdom. So much of our talk an empty breeze. Watching the crow, I feel I'll never really know colors, stars, or fortune. If I seize on questions, everything recedes into the sky with the breeze. Okay. The next one is called Mercy. It's a Waira, which is a form from the Quechua language. It is very short. Kicking on its back, a quail chick makes coyote bait at nightfall. How much pain do jaws cause for how long? Baby, would you trade me places? View from a shell. Fir bore pine cones, spruce bore pine cones, hemlock bore pine cones. In my family, we had to call them all pine cones to not expose the ignorance of the elders. I played with pine cones from Douglas fir, which is not fir, out beyond the swing sets on the playground. Already, at 8 years old, an old hand as a fugitive from humanity. Just out of earshot of the place beyond the broadleaf maples where Miss Bond negotiated salaries with teachers she wanted to hire. And don't think the teachers already hers didn't back me up against walls, snarling that I knew something, which was the only time they thought I knew anything worth knowing. He's disaffected, they told each other. Next year, his shell will be so hard he'll never break out. He has to start talking. And they murmured about dark institutions with no escape. And one teacher swooped down on me on the playground and demanded to know how I was while looking me carefully in the eye. Among all the strangers, this one who was supposed to protect me was on the attack. Mom already required me to dissemble carefully, and the only right answer is what they need to hear. With the steadiest gaze I could manage, I said, I'm fine. The required answer from way back when people first started to ask. After another pleasantry, she swept away and crowed to her colleagues she had saved my life and called two to witness and traded her hero's status for a higher salary beyond the horizon, and playing with pine cones beyond the swing sets was still the best part of my day. What I'm afraid of. My veins will all open at once, and blood will bloom with dark dahlias, each petal edged in frost. My breath, my freezing breath, will burn stone cliffs to nothing but smoke, and the air above them will never nourish even a feather of this mind not born on wind. The rising sun will shine through me and as through a minnow's fin, and I will sublime like ice from a shingle, and you will swim away through every eternity and never look back. Fear factor. Downtown Seattle, 3rd Avenue. I need $10. I need $10 right now. You can't go anywhere until I get $10, said the flunky to a passing man so loud I could hear a block away. It went that way with each passing man, and each one caved. Then the boss yanked the flunky back, smiled at me, and said, "Good afternoon, sir. Have a nice day." "Why did you do that?" asked the flunky's indignation. "Starve before you bother him," came the answer, "or we'll both be in the hospital." If they wanted to believe that, that was fine with me. One night on Queen Anne, of all places, 3 teenage boys wanted to know how it would feel to beat the shit out of somebody. "No," said the leader, "he looks like he knows martial arts," which is pretty funny. "It's not going to happen," I said to the mugger in New York, and it didn't. A man's presence can add 30% to his size and 100% to his meanness. A suspected crazy streak will triple the fear factor. So a smallish guy like me can pretty much go where he wants, even alone. They used to say, never mess with a compact man, but now that's forgotten and I'm no longer young. My broken arm tries to ice the cake. Worse than the arm, oh, worse than the arm, is missing the smoke and mirrors. Pirates. This is very local to where I am right now. It happened down the bike path 1 or 2 miles from my house. So pirates. They might have been 12, 2 boys absorbed in their mysterious boy business beside a fallen alder. I rode up on my bike to where the young trunk blocked the path at about waist level on me. I dismounted to lift my bike over. "Did you guys dig up this tree?" I asked, my voice all suspicion and wonder. The dark eyes of the dark-haired one flashed with glee at being credited with so much strength and wickedness. The red-headed one pinned me with narrow gray eyes. He was tough as anchor cable, cool as winter seas, a stranger to fear. He deigned to speak at last. Maybe. I rode on, wondering if I had insulted him. But twice since then, we have passed each other on that path. He with his father and sister, pretending not to have met me, except his eyes caught mine, and remembering our joke, sparkled. Scar and mask. I met a spider still unknown to science, legs that could span a dinner plate, blackish fur with subtle iridescence, a reputation for a deadly bite. It claimed a stubby hexagonal acrylic cylinder made for fish, the closest thing to a burrow in a pet shop far from Central American jungle. It's some kind of bird spider, not a Goliath. I feed it people I don't like. One day it tore around the shop and it chose to go back into its empty container, barely big enough to not cramp its span. Approach softly, not too close. Lean over slowly from below. At about arm's length, it lunged for my face faster than primordial memory could yank me back. The spider gave me time, or I would still be wearing a scar and a mask. I guess that poem's optimistic. It assumes that the rumor that the bite was deadly was wrong, but who knows? I cannot find the spider on the internet, though I would love to. I'm happy to be reading this next poem near Boston. It's called New York. With apologies to Stefania, I learned pretty early on, living in New York, that New York hates Boston, and being at least technically a Boston native, I take exception to that. So this kind of came up on a visit after later on. New York. Nobody bothers to know which lampposts are alive with enough juice to kill. I used to feel lampposts. Today, in a marble fortress, relics of Truman Capote repose in a glass casket. No manuscripts, but a cheap notebook he carried everywhere for months, not so secretly, writing names in and crossing names out, choosing the elect for the party of the 20th century. Both of us raised in wicker baskets, both of us ravaged by memory unwrapped. I used to feel kinship with Truman the suicide. Now he reminds me why I moved away. Nocturne. This is an Oregon poem, Dave. At the end of every term, my chamber music buddies threw a blowout bash on the Pacific, where one time, as Bang Bang, the doctor's son, commanded us not to. Ghost, the academic's son, who fancied himself a Southern aristocrat, followed me, not to be outdone, as with memory recording in a mode almost state-specific. By the black ocean, I bounded over the beach like a big golden retriever pup, through night fog and surf sound, right up to a pair of men when one was asking, what do we do with the body? And like the Willamette Valley boy I was raised to be, with my brain beyond connecting dots, I assumed they had a wholesome reason for the word choice. And when thing one said to thing two, looking at me, this one's your job, Ghost promised, out of privilege, to pursue them to any Aladdin's cave or rat hole they might hide in if they took me. And he ran off, and I followed fast, leaving the bad guys too flabbergasted to move as we caught up to Bang Bang, who cowered in the distance and blended with the shadows, the story of his life. There we go. Angel with scimitar. An angel held a scimitar to my throat. It wasn't Azrael. Azrael is not playful. And he said, breathe and I will kill you yesterday. The scimitar was so sharp, I couldn't feel it taste me. I just felt blood run down my chest. What choice did I have but to draw a deep breath? There is more than one way to wrestle an angel. The next one is in the ghazal form. It involves a lot of repetition. Uh, some people think that's the beauty of it. Um, it is made up of couplets, so 2-line sets that are not allowed to have any overt relationship to each other. Um, when you get to the poet's name, you know you've come to the end. It's traditional to put your name in to sign one of these, and it's against tradition to title them. But since we title poems, I call this the knife. I like the sword for killing demons. Look, the knife makes you go in too close. Those things can trick the knife. I'm still trying to figure out what prayers it takes to God knows what, to quicken its soul, to wake the knife. They won't let him in without one. Before he can go to camp, you have to buck up and give the tyke a knife. Pointing out from rosettes, from across a broad mirror, water lilies' petals draw blood like the knife. Queen of fire and rain, stone and wind in the night, her gaze alone is enough to break the knife. Suicidal resolve, hope and desperation, cold fear grabs his hand to shake the knife. Before the monster cleans up after himself and leaves no trace, he will be sure to lick the knife. With all the feel for what's unseen, the vigilance, the strength that he has struggled to have, Brian hopes to block the knife. Rapids. First thing this morning, blue jays, cardinals, woodpeckers, the eddy of their voices, the gush of the sun, take me to the rose garden in Washington Park, where a gray man sprays the bases of roses, sometimes with water, at 4 in the afternoon when it's hot. Sometimes he sprays the bushes, strange orange, living pink, kind yellow, with poison. Mom talks to the man like she wants him, and they disappear together. Kurt, he's only 5, and he's wiped out from always moving faster than the rest of us. And he plays with the poisoned leaves, and the man gives up on Mom. He tells me not to let Kurt put his fingers in the poison, not if you want to see your brother grow up. And Mom says to me, if he doesn't grow up, neither will you. I'm 9 back then. Do you want to know what this is like? Try shooting rapids. No kayak, no canoe, no raft, no life vest, no helmet, except it's less fun. Mom jumps out at me from behind roses, pale ivory, black, red, nearly purple, gets after me for not watching Eric and Kurt hidden in different parts of the grid. Why doesn't she watch them? You don't ask Mom stuff like that. And more anger soaks into me like dirty oil into a concrete floor. How many times does all this stuff happen? Half a dozen? A dozen? Eric is 7. He says, I'm going to play in the poison. I chase him. He doesn't touch a thing. He's been primed. And Kurt is soaking up bug spray through his wrists, through his shirt, through his pants. When I pull him back, I soak up bug spray too, and Kurt doesn't burn up, and neither do I. And he keeps going right back and playing with the poisoned leaves and getting spray in his hair, and I give up and play and soak up my share. The man gives up on all of us. Kurt is still around. It takes Eric 34 years to die. Confetti, belladonna shortcake, belladonna parfait, crazy cherries, darkest berries, against bright whipped cream, not too sweet. Belladonna crepes, belladonna smoothie looks just like blackberry. The nightshade, the beautiful woman who will never leave you. She hijacks my mind in the darkest of the four chambers that she shakes. Take me back to where I never was, where the garden fence screens out the heavy breathing of beasts, where the sun throws live confetti on the grass. Holy Grail. The canopic jar for the heart of Satan still in the basement will always be empty. I didn't want it. I tell time by the lilies of the valley. It doesn't matter if the world ends. Take your strange hand off my shoulder. No more fights that never end. Let me show you my skill at Russian roulette. Across the grain of gray teak, light years run from one line to the next. From time out of mind, I fell through the stars. The blood in the chalice is always your own. The witches each labor months to years to make a unique apartment, exactly like the others in the coldest, saddest neighborhood of all. The witches fire hollow point bullets with bayonet tongues fixed. The witches spoliate from the time they can choose a party dress. The witches don't raise their young. Someone else does that. The witches wear daisy dental floss stiletto sandals in the cold spring. The witches choose men who are not men. The witches aerosolize poison when they kiss the air. The witches snub celebrities because they can. The witches transform at will into psychotic lapdogs. The witches never show a fleck of sweat. Dandelion Patrol. This is extremely local. You can still see the same dandelions in our lawn right now. Dandelion Patrol. New house, new dandelions. Hairy, savage dandelions. Ancient and venerable, like a Galapagos tortoise or one of Tolkien's dwarvish kings. New to this suburban purgatory, I succumb immediately to peer pressure and resentfully. If dandelions were delicate and rare, we would treasure them and coddle them and gnash our teeth when they slipped through our fingers. Dandelions laugh when they see me coming. Their taproots take evasive action. They grow new crowns like the hydra. If rare orchids kept springing up in our lawns, we would poison them and pull them up and hate them. I keep uprooting dandelions through back pain for the satisfaction of killing. Heraclitus meets the rising sun. The plume of her hat pin, a fountain of royal blue, a life summed up in a relic. The rowboat, reposeful, drifts on a flat liquid floor. You can't fall in the same river twice, but it will always be the same river, even in another age, on another course. The little kids at the mental hospital who burn their caretakers out with their histories. Now I know I'm one. Flies with streamers land over and over to lay eggs on the river. I want to say, don't burn out. Sometimes we live. Someday my life will fit in a plume fountain, deep purple or something. I've got one more for you. And I'll turn the floor back over to Megan. To the real tiger. No one will tell me where you're buried. A million guys with your name in Oregon alone, and not one is you. I hope to be as brave as you if a monster ever eats me from inside. I hope to be as cheerful as you if they ever ship me off to Timbuktu to die. Although you could only ever count on one brother, how could the other keep yelling at you on your deathbed over nothing? How could your mom not bother to visit you until you were dead? You can count on me to remember you when a guy my son's age bites the dust, when a video game is played for blood, when I notice somehow I'm still breathing. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for sharing, Brian. That was a really powerful reading, and I think these poems ask readers to sit with difficult truths, but they offer moments of tenderness, of beauty, in the Dandelion Patrol, some comedy in there, and resilience. Um, your delivery was razor sharp and precise, and we're just grateful that you're, here tonight to bring these selections to life for us.
I'm grateful to be here. Thank you to everybody for showing up. That's